The moment everything changed. I still remember the exact second my world tilted. It was a quiet Tuesday evening. The kind of evening where the house feels too big and too empty all at once. I had come home early from work because my head was aching and I just needed to lie down for a bit. The kids were at their aunt's house for the night, and my husband was out of town for a conference. So the house was silent, almost too silent. As I walked through the living room, I heard voices coming from the kitchen. Soft voices, familiar voices. My sister-in-law, Lisa, and my cousin, Sarah. They had dropped by earlier to check on me, they said. I hadn't thought much of it. Family drops by. That's what we do. But I stopped at the doorway. I didn't mean to eavesdrop. I swear I didn't. I just froze. She thinks she's so perfect, Lisa was saying, her voice low, almost a whisper. Always acting like she's got everything under control. The perfect mom. The perfect wife. Please, if she only knew how much we all roll our eyes behind her back. Sarah laughed softly. Not a big laugh. Just that small, knowing chuckle that cuts deeper than any shout ever could. And the way she talks about her job, Sarah added, like she's the only one who works hard. We've all got our struggles, but no one gets a medal for hers. My heart started pounding so loud I thought they might hear it. I stood there, one hand on the doorframe, the other pressed to my chest, like I could hold everything inside. I wanted to walk in. I wanted to say something. Anything. But my feet wouldn't move. They kept talking. Little things. Things I had shared with them in confidence. About my worries with the kids' school. About how tired I felt sometimes. About how I missed my mom since she passed. They twisted every word, made me sound small, selfish, fake. I slipped away quietly, went upstairs to our bedroom, closed the door, and sat on the edge of the bed for what felt like hours. My hands were shaking. My eyes burned, but no tears came. Not yet. That night I didn't sleep. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, replaying every conversation I'd ever had with them, wondering how long it had been going on, wondering who else knew, if my husband knew, if my own children had ever heard something like that. The next morning, I looked in the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. She looked broken and angry, but mostly broken. I told myself I would let it go. People talk. That's what people do. But deep down, I knew I couldn't. Not this time. Not when it felt like someone had reached inside my chest and pulled out something precious. So I made a decision. I was going to confront them. But what would happen when I did? Would they deny it? Would they apologize? Or would everything fall apart even more? I didn't know. All I knew was that the whispers had become too loud to ignore. If you're still here with me, stay. Because this story isn't just about what they said. It's about what happened after I opened my mouth and let the truth come out. The life before the storm. Let me take you back a little. Before that Tuesday, before the kitchen whispers, my name is Elena. I'm 42 now. I have 2 kids, Mia, who's 12, and little Ben, who's 8. My husband, David, is the steady one, the one who makes sure the bills get paid and the car gets serviced. He's quiet, but kind. The kind of man who remembers anniversaries without being told. We live in a small house on Maple Street. Nothing fancy, just warm. The kind of place where the kids leave shoes everywhere and the fridge is always covered in drawings. My family, well, they've always been close. Too close sometimes. My older sister, Claire, lives 2 streets over. My brother Mark and his wife Lisa are always around. And Sarah? She's my cousin on my mom's side. We grew up like sisters. Sleepovers, secrets, shared clothes. All of it. After Mom died 5 years ago, we pulled even tighter. Holidays together. Sunday dinners. Helping each other through the hard days. I thought that was love. I thought that was safety. I was the one who listened. Always. When Lisa cried about not being able to have kids. When Sarah worried about her marriage. When Claire felt lost after her divorce. I was there. I hugged them. I told them they were enough. I meant it. I never fought. They might be saying different things when I wasn't in the room. But looking back now, there were signs. Small ones. The way conversations would stop when I walked in. The quick smiles that didn't reach their eyes. The little comments that felt like jokes, but stung. I brushed them off. Told myself I was being sensitive. Told myself families tease, families vent. It's normal. It wasn't normal. Not like this. I spent the next few days after that Tuesday walking around like a ghost in my own house. I smiled at the kids, cooked dinner, folded laundry. But inside, everything felt cracked. David noticed something was wrong. He asked me one night while we were in bed. "You okay, love?" He said softly. I looked at him, really looked. And for a moment, I almost told him everything. But I didn't. Not yet. "I just miss Mom," I whispered. That part was true. He pulled me close. And I let him, because I needed to feel something solid. The truth was, I was scared. Scared that if I spoke it out loud, it would all become real. Scared that the family I loved would look at me differently. But the hurt kept growing, like a bruise you keep pressing on. I knew I had to do something. I knew I had to face them. But how do you confront the people you love most? When you're afraid of what you'll see in their eyes. I decided to start with Lisa. Just her, one-on-one. What happened when I invited her over for coffee? Changed everything. I didn't sleep much the next 3 nights. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard their voices again. That small laugh. Those words. Perfect mom. Perfect wife, if she only knew. I kept telling myself, maybe I misunderstood. Maybe they were talking about someone else. Maybe I was too tired, too sensitive, to everything. But my heart knew better. So on Friday morning, after the kids left for school and David had already gone to work, I sent Lisa a message. Hey, can you come over for coffee? Just us. Around 10? She replied almost instantly. Of course! Everything okay? I stared at those 3 words for a long time. Everything okay? No, nothing felt okay. But I typed back. Yeah, just want to catch up. See you soon. I spent the next hour cleaning the kitchen, even though it was already clean. Wiping counters that didn't need wiping. Arranging the mugs in a perfect row. Trying to make everything look normal when nothing felt normal. At 9:58, the doorbell rang. I opened the door, and there she was, Lisa, my brother's wife of 14 years. The woman who cried in my arms when the fertility treatments didn't work. The woman I held when she finally got the call about the adoption. The woman who called me sis, even though we weren't blood. She smiled. That big, bright smile she always gives. Hugged me tight. You look tired, Elena. You okay? I nodded. Tried to smile back. Come in. We sat at the kitchen table. The same table where just a few days earlier, she had spoken those words about me. I poured the coffee. My hands were shaking so badly that a little spilled over the rim. I wiped it quickly with a napkin, pretended it didn't happen. She started talking right away. About her daughter's dance recital, about how expensive the costumes are, about how Mark is working too much again. I listened, or at least I tried to, but my ears were ringing. Finally, after maybe 10 minutes, I couldn't hold it anymore. I set my mug down, very carefully, like it was made of glass. Lisa. My voice came out smaller than I expected. I need to ask you something. She stopped mid-sentence, looked at me. Her eyebrows lifted just a little. Sure, what's up? I took a breath. It felt like breathing through a straw. Tuesday night, when you and Sarah were here, I came home early. Her face didn't change at first. Then something flickered in her eyes. Just for a second. I kept going. I didn't mean to listen, I swear. But I heard you. Both of you. Silence. Thick. Heavy. The kind of silence that makes your ears hurt. Lisa looked down at her coffee. Stirred it slowly, even though she hadn't put any sugar in. What did you hear? She asked quietly. I swallowed. The words felt like stones in my throat. You said, I think I'm perfect. That I act like I've got everything under control. That everyone rolls their eyes behind my back. Her spoon stopped moving. And Sarah laughed and said I act like I'm the only one who works hard. Looked at her. Really looked. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Is that true? I asked. My voice cracked on the last word. Was that really about me? For a long moment, nothing. Then she sighed. A long, tired sigh. Elena. That was all she said at first. Just my name. Then, it wasn't like that. My chest tightened. What was it like then? She finally looked up. Her eyes were shiny. Not crying yet, but close. We were just venting. You know how it is. People complain. It doesn't mean anything. I felt something hot rise behind my eyes. It meant something to me. She flinched, just a little. I'm sorry. she whispered. I didn't mean for you to hear it. I nodded slowly, but the hurt didn't leave. How long? I asked. How long have you two been talking about me like that? She opened her mouth, closed it again. Then, it's not a regular thing. It's just sometimes when we're frustrated. You always seem so together. It's hard not to compare. Compare. That word landed like a slap. I looked at the table, at the little coffee stain I hadn't wiped away. I never compared myself to you, I said softly. Never once. She reached across the table, tried to touch my hand. I pulled back. Not fast. Just enough. She looked hurt. Elena, please, we love you. Your family. I nodded, but it didn't feel true anymore. I thought I was, I whispered. Another long silence. Then she said, I'll talk to Sarah. We'll fix this. I didn't answer right away, because I wasn't sure anything could be fixed. Not like before. I looked at her, at the woman I used to run to when I was falling apart. I don't know if I can pretend anymore, I told her. I don't know if I can sit at Sunday dinner and act like everything's fine. Her lip trembled. Please don't tell Mark, she said suddenly. He'll be so upset. He thinks we're all so close. I stared at her. You're asking me to protect your marriage after you talked about mine behind my back? She covered her face with her hands. I know how it sounds. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know what to feel. Anger? Yes, but quiet anger. The kind that burns low and steady. Sadness? More than anything. Because I loved her. I still loved her. But love doesn't always survive everything. I stood up slowly. I need some time, I said. She nodded, tears finally falling now. I walked her to the door. She hugged me before she left. I let her, but my arms didn't hug back the way they used to. When the door closed, I leaned against it, and for the first time since Tuesday, I cried. Not loud, not dramatic, just quiet, aching tears, because something had broken, and I wasn't sure it could ever be put back together the same way. Short pause, soft breathing. Later that afternoon, Sarah texted me. Hey, Lisa just called me crying. What's going on? She said you were upset about something Lee said. I stared at the message for almost 20 minutes. Then I typed back one sentence. Can you come over tomorrow? We need to talk. She replied immediately. Of course, I'll be there. I set the phone down. My hands were steady now. The shaking had stopped. Because tomorrow, I would say the same thing to Sarah that I said to Lisa. And after that, well, I didn't know what came after that. But I knew one thing for certain. The whispers were over. And whatever happened next would be said to my face. If you're still listening, thank you. This part hurts to tell. It still hurts to read. But we're not done yet, because what Sarah said the next day was even harder than what Lisa said. And what happened after that changed the shape of our entire family. Keep listening with me. I sat alone in the living room that night after Lisa left. The house was quiet again. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that presses on your chest. The kids were still at after-school activities. David wouldn't be home for another 2 hours. So it was just me and my thoughts. I didn't turn on the lights. I let the room stay dim. The only glow came from the street lamp outside the window. I kept replaying the coffee with Lisa. Every word, every look, the way she wouldn't hold my eyes for long. I asked myself the same question over and over. Why does this hurt so much? It wasn't just the words. I could have handled teasing. I could have handled criticism. I'd heard worse from strangers online. But this came from inside the circle, from people I had opened the door for, people I had cried with, people I had told, "You're not alone." And now I felt very alone. I pulled my knees up to my chest on the couch, wrapped my arms around them like I was holding myself together. I started thinking about the last 5 years, since Mom died, how I became the glue, the one who remembers birthdays, the one who organizes the group chat for holidays, the one who says, "Come over, we'll figure it out." I never asked for thanks. I didn't need thanks. I did it because I loved them, because family was the only thing that felt permanent after Mom was gone. But now I wondered, did they ever feel the same way about me? Or was I just convenient? I felt a small, sharp pain behind my ribs. Not heartbreak, something quieter, something like disappointment in myself. Because part of me had known, maybe not the exact words, but the feeling, the little moments when laughter stopped when I entered the room. The way Lisa sometimes said, "You're so good at everything," and it never quite sounded like a compliment. I had told myself it was nothing. I had smiled through it. I had kept being the perfect one, because maybe if I was perfect enough, they wouldn't leave. That thought made my throat close. I didn't want to be perfect. I just wanted to be loved, even when I wasn't. I stood up, walked to the kitchen, looked at the coffee mugs still sitting in the sink, Lisa's lipstick mark on the rim of hers. I stared at it for a long time. Then I whispered to the empty room, "I'm not perfect. I never said I was." My voice sounded small, but saying it out loud, it felt like taking back a little piece of myself. I went upstairs, opened the closet, pulled out the box of old photos Mom had kept. I sat on the bedroom floor, spread the pictures around me like a circle. There I was, 22 years old, laughing at my wedding, pregnant with Mia, holding newborn Ben like he was made of glass. Mom kissing my cheek at Christmas. All of us together. Claire, Mark, Lisa, Sarah, me, arms around each other, smiling like nothing could ever break us. I touched Mom's face in one of the photos. "I miss you," I said quietly. "I wish you were here to tell me what to do." But she wasn't, and I had to figure it out alone. I thought about tomorrow. Sarah coming over. Would she deny it? Would she cry? Would she get angry? And the bigger question, the one that kept circling in my head like a tired bird, after I said everything I needed to say, would I still have a family, or would I be the one who broke it? That thought made my stomach twist. I didn't want to be the villain in this story. I didn't want to be the one who made everything fall apart. But I also didn't want to keep swallowing hurt just to keep the peace. I closed my eyes. Tears slipped down without permission. I let them fall, because crying in private was the only place I felt safe enough to feel anything at all. I stayed on the floor a long time, surrounded by old pictures, surrounded by memories that used to feel warm, and now felt fragile. Eventually I stood up, put the photos back carefully, closed the box. I looked at myself in the mirror again. The same woman from Tuesday night. Still broken. Still angry. But something else, too. Something small. Something new. A tiny spark of strength. Not loud strength. Not the kind that shouts. The quiet kind. The kind that says, I deserve to be spoken to with kindness, even behind my back. I took a slow breath. Tomorrow, I would face Sarah. I would say the truth. I would listen to her truth. And then I would decide what pieces of my heart I could still give. Not out of fear, but out of choice. Because love, real love, doesn't ask you to disappear. It asks you to show up, even when it hurts. Soft pause, gentle breathing. I climbed into bed that night, alone, but not empty. For the first time in days, I didn't replay their words. I replayed my own. I'm not perfect. I deserve kindness. I still love them, but I love myself too. I pulled the blanket up to my chin, and for the first time since Tuesday, I fell asleep without crying. Not because the pain was gone, but because I had finally given it a voice. And that voice was mine. Short pause. Tomorrow, Sarah would come. And whatever happened, I knew one thing. I wasn't going to disappear anymore. Even if it meant standing alone for a while. Soft sigh. If you're still here, thank you for walking through this with me. It's hard to say these things out loud, even harder to live them. But tomorrow, the second conversation begins, and it changes more than I ever expected. Stay with me. Second face I had to face. Saturday morning came too fast. I woke up early, before the sun. The house was still sleeping. I made coffee, but didn't drink it. Just held the mug until it went cold. I kept looking at the clock. 9:45, 10 o'clock, 10:15. At 10:22, the doorbell rang. I opened the door slowly. Sarah stood there, in her gray coat, hair in a loose ponytail, no makeup, eyes already red, like she had been crying on the drive over. She tried to smile. It didn't reach her eyes. Hey, she said softly. Hey. I stepped aside. She walked in. We didn't hug, not this time. We went straight to the living room, not the kitchen. I couldn't sit in that kitchen again. She sat on the couch. I sat in the armchair across from her, a coffee table between us, like a small wall. I didn't offer her anything to drink. I didn't know how to anymore. She spoke first. Lisa told me everything, she said. Her voice was small. I'm so sorry, Elena. I nodded once, didn't speak yet. She looked down at her hands, twisted her wedding ring around her finger. I didn't mean it the way it sounded, she started. We were just complaining. It was a bad day. You know how it gets sometimes. I stayed quiet. She glanced up, saw my face, and something shifted in hers. "You're really hurt," she whispered, more to herself than to me. "Yes," I said simply. She swallowed. "I never wanted you to hear that." But I did. Another long silence. Then she tried again. "You're always so strong, so together. Sometimes it makes the rest of us feel small, like we're not doing enough. And instead of saying that to you, we said it about you." I felt my throat tighten. "So you turned my life into something to mock because you felt small?" She winced. "That's not how I would say it, but that's what happened." She looked away, toward the window. "I know it sounds awful," she said, "when you say it like that." "It is awful." Her eyes filled. "I'm not trying to make excuses," she said. "I'm just trying to explain." I leaned forward slightly. "I don't need explanations right now. I need to know if you meant it." She looked at me, really looked, and then, very quietly, "Some of it, yes. I have felt jealous. I have rolled my eyes, but not because you're fake, because you make it look easy. And for me, nothing feels easy." I let her words settle. They didn't make the hurt disappear, but they made it meaningful, more complicated. "I never tried to make it look easy," I said. "I just tried to keep going." "I know," she whispered. "I know you did." We sat in silence for what felt like forever. Then she asked the question I was dreading. "Are we done?" I looked at her, at the cousin who used to braid my hair when we were kids, who stayed up all night with me when my first boyfriend broke my heart, who held my hand at Mom's funeral. "I don't know," I told her honestly. Her face crumpled. "I don't want to lose you," she said. Her voice broke on the last word. I felt my own eyes burn. "I don't want to lose you either," I admitted. "But I can't pretend this didn't happen. I can't go back to how it was." She nodded, tears sliding down her cheeks now. "I understand." I reached for the tissue box on the side table, handed it to her. She took it, wiped her face. Then she looked at me again. "Will you tell the others?" she asked. "Claire? Mark?" I hadn't decided yet. "I don't know," I said again. "I'm still trying to figure out what I can carry and what I need to let go." She nodded slowly. We sat there for a few more minutes, not speaking, just breathing, both of us carrying something heavy. Finally, she stood up. "I should go," she said. I stood too. At the door, she turned back. "I love you, Elena," she said, "even if I haven't shown it well lately." I looked at her, and I meant it when I answered. "I love you too." She gave a small, sad smile, then walked out. I closed the door behind her, leaned my forehead against it, and for the second time in 3 days, I cried quietly. Because love doesn't just disappear, even when trust does. That afternoon, something started to shift. Claire called me, said Lisa had been crying all morning, asked if I knew why. I didn't answer right away. Then I said, "We had a talk. It's complicated." She was quiet for a second. "Do you want to talk about it?" I thought about it. "Not yet," I told her. "But soon." She didn't push. Okay, I'm here when you're ready. I hung up, and I realized the circle was starting to feel different. People were noticing. Questions were beginning. And soon, I would have to decide how much truth I was ready to share. Because secrets have a way of spreading, even when you try to keep them small. Later that evening, David came home. He found me sitting on the porch steps, staring at the streetlights. He sat beside me, didn't ask anything at first. Just put his arm around my shoulders. After a while, I leaned into him, and I whispered, I think I'm losing them. He kissed the top of my head. You're not losing me, he said softly. Or the kids, or yourself. I closed my eyes, and for the first time in days, I felt a tiny piece of solid ground under my feet. But the bigger storm was still coming. Because when families fracture, the cracks show everywhere, and the next few days would show me just how deep they could go. If you're still listening, thank you. This is the part where the hurt starts spreading, quietly, like ink in water. But we're not at the end yet. There's more to come. Much more. The first Sunday that felt different. Sunday came like it always did. The same routine. Wake up, make pancakes for the kids, set the table for the weekly family dinner at Claire's house. The one we've done for years. The one Mom started. But this Sunday felt wrong from the moment my eyes opened. I stood in the kitchen, watching Mia flip a pancake. She was laughing at something Ben said. Something silly about syrup rivers on his plate. Their laughter was the only sound that still felt normal. David walked in, put his hand on my lower back. Just a small touch. A reminder I wasn't completely alone. You don't have to go, he said quietly. I looked at him. I know. But I also knew if I didn't go, it would be the first crack everyone noticed. And I wasn't ready for questions yet. So we went. We arrived at Claire's a little after 4. The driveway was already full. Mark's truck, Lisa's car, Sarah's little blue hatchback. I took a slow breath before getting out. Inside, the house smelled like roast chicken and rosemary. The same smell every Sunday. Normally, it made me feel safe. Today, it made my stomach turn. Claire greeted us at the door. Big hug for the kids, quick kiss on my cheek. Her eyes searched mine for a second longer than usual. Everything okay? She asked softly. I gave the smallest nod. Fine. She didn't push. Not yet. We moved into the living room. Everyone was already there. Mark on the couch, scrolling his phone. Lisa beside him, holding their daughter on her lap. Sarah by the window, arms crossed, looking out. When I walked in, the room changed. Not dramatically. No one gasped. No one stopped talking. But the energy shifted, like the air got thicker. Mark looked up, smiled. Hey, sis. Hey. Lisa looked at me, then quickly looked away. Her fingers tightened around her daughter. Sarah met my eyes for half a second, then dropped her gaze to the floor. I felt it all. The distance, the careful politeness, the unspoken questions hanging between us. Claire tried to keep things moving. Kids, go play in the backyard. She shooed Mia and Ben outside with the cousins, then turned to the adults. Dinner in 20, she said brightly. Help me set the table? We all moved like we always did. Plates, silverware, glasses. But every movement felt rehearsed, careful. No one spoke much. At the table, it got worse. Claire passed the potatoes. Mark talked about work. Lisa nodded along. Sarah stayed mostly quiet. I tried to eat, but every bite tasted like cardboard. Halfway through dinner, Ben ran in from outside, face red, excited. Mom! Grandma's old swing set is still out back. Can we all go on it after dinner? He said it so innocently, like nothing had changed. I smiled at him. Of course, sweetheart. But when I looked up, Lisa's eyes were on me, shiny again, and Sarah looked like she might cry. Claire cleared her throat. So, anyone want to talk about what's going on? She asked gently. The question landed like a stone in still water. Everyone froze. Mark looked confused. What do you mean? Claire looked at me, then at Lisa, then at Sarah. There's something in the air, she said, and I think we all feel it. Silence. Long. Painful. Then Lisa spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. It's my fault. Mark turned to her. What? She swallowed, tears already falling. I said something stupid behind Elena's back. She heard it. Mark's face changed from confusion to something harder. What did you say? Lisa looked down. Things about how she seems perfect, how we all roll our eyes sometimes. Mark stared at her. Then he looked at me. Is that true? I nodded once. He exhaled, long and slow. Then he turned back to Lisa. Why? Lisa covered her face. I don't know. I was jealous. I was tired. I was stupid. Mark didn't say anything right away. Sarah spoke next, quietly. I was part of it too. Mark looked at her now, disbelief on his face. Claire just watched, eyes moving from face to face. I sat there, feeling everything at once, and nothing at all. Mark finally spoke. So you two were talking about my sister like that? And she had to find out by overhearing? Lisa sobbed quietly. I'm sorry, she whispered. Mark looked at me again. Why didn't you tell me? I looked at him. My big brother, the one who used to protect me from everything. I didn't want to make it worse, I said softly. I wanted to handle it myself. He reached across the table, squeezed my hand. You didn't have to. I squeezed back. But the moment didn't fix anything. It just exposed it. After that, the dinner ended quickly. The kids sensed something. They got quiet. We cleared the table in silence. When it was time to leave, no one hugged goodbye. Just small nods, small see you laters. In the car on the way home, David drove. I stared out the window. The kids were in the back, asleep. David reached over, took my hand. How are you holding up? He asked. I thought about it. I don't know, I answered honestly. But I think I'm still here. And that was enough for tonight. When we got home, I tucked the kids in, kissed their foreheads, told them I loved them, more than once. Then I went to our room, sat on the edge of the bed. David came in, sat beside me. You were brave today, he said. I shook my head. I didn't feel brave. I felt small. He pulled me close. Small people can still stand tall, he whispered. I let myself lean into him. And for the first time since the kitchen whispers, I let myself hope, just a little, that maybe the family wouldn't break completely, that maybe some pieces could be mended. But deep down, I knew some breaks change the shape forever, and Sunday dinners would never feel exactly the same again. The next few days were quiet, too quiet. Texts slowed down, phone calls stopped, the group chat went silent, and I started to understand that confrontation doesn't always bring healing. Sometimes it just brings clarity. Clarity about who stays, who drifts, who chooses silence. And clarity can hurt just as much as betrayal. But something else was starting too. Something small, something hopeful. Mia asked me one night while I brushed her hair, "Mom, are you sad?" I looked at her in the mirror. "A little," I told her. She turned around, hugged me tight. "It's okay to be sad," she said, "but you're still my favorite mom." I laughed through tears, and in that moment, I remembered why I kept going. Not for the adults, not for the family dinners, but for them, for the little hearts that still looked at me like I hung the moon. And that was enough to keep standing. For now, the story isn't over, not even close. Because what happened next was the moment I had to decide, forgive or protect my peace. And that decision would change everything. Stay with me. It was a Wednesday night, 2 weeks after that painful Sunday dinner. The house was dark, except for the small lamp on the nightstand. David was asleep beside me, his breathing steady, the only sound in the room. I couldn't sleep. I slipped out of bed carefully, wrapped myself in the soft throw blanket from the chair, walked to the living room, sat on the couch in the dark. The streetlight outside cast long shadows across the floor. I stared at them for a long time. My mind kept circling back to the same questions. What did I want now? Did I want apologies that would feel forced? Did I want everyone to pretend nothing happened so we could keep the old routine? Did I want to keep being the one who fixed everything, even when it broke me? I pulled my knees up again, held them tight, and then, in the quiet, something shifted inside me. Not dramatically, not with fireworks or sudden clarity, just a slow, gentle realization. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want to punish anyone. I didn't even want loud explanations or big dramatic talks. What I wanted was peace, my peace. And I realized something important that night. Peace doesn't always mean forgiveness on the spot. Peace doesn't always mean everything goes back to how it was. Sometimes peace means drawing a soft line, a boundary, a quiet "not like this anymore." I thought about the people I loved, David, the kids, Claire, who had been checking in quietly, not pushing, just present. Mark, who had texted me twice that week, "I'm here if you need me." Even Lisa and Sarah. Somewhere deep down, I still loved them. But love and closeness aren't the same thing. I could love them from a distance. I could wish them well. I could keep the door cracked open, just not wide enough for the same old patterns to walk back in. That thought brought tears. Not angry tears, not broken tears. The kind of tears that come when you finally let go of something you've been holding too tightly. I whispered into the dark room, "It's okay to choose myself." The words felt strange at first, like they belonged to someone else. But the more I said them, the more they felt like mine. I thought about Mom, how she used to say, "You don't have to carry everyone, Elena. Sometimes you just have to carry yourself." I hadn't understood that then. I was too busy trying to hold everything together. But I understood it now. I stood up, walked to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water, drank it slowly. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I opened my phone, went to the family group chat, the one with all of us: Claire, Mark, Lisa, Sarah, me. I didn't type a long message. I didn't explain everything again. I just wrote, "I love you all. I always will. But I need some space right now. Not forever. Just enough to breathe. I hope you can understand." I stared at the words for almost 10 minutes. My thumb hovered over send. Then I pressed it. The message went through. No one replied right away. Maybe they were asleep. Maybe they didn't know what to say. I turned my phone face down, walked back to the bedroom. David stirred when I slipped under the covers. "You okay?" he murmured, half asleep. I kissed his shoulder. "Yeah," I whispered. "I think I am." He pulled me closer, and I let myself be held. The next morning, the replies came. Claire first. "I understand. Take all the time you need. Love you." Then Mark. "Whatever you need, sis. I'm proud of you." Lisa. "I'm so sorry. I hope one day we can talk again. I love you." Sarah. "I get it. I'm sorry too. Take care of yourself." I read each one slowly. No anger in any of them. Just acceptance. Maybe sadness, but no fighting. And that was enough. I didn't respond right away. I let the messages sit there, like small stones I could look at later. I made breakfast for the kids, laughed when Ben spilled orange juice, helped Mia with her hair. Normal things, beautiful things. Later that day, I took a walk alone, just around the block. The air was cool. The leaves were starting to change. I walked slowly, listening to the sound of my own footsteps. And I thought about the woman I used to be. The one who thought love meant carrying everything. The one who thought silence meant peace. I wasn't her anymore. I was someone new. Someone who still loved deeply, but who also loved herself enough to protect what was left. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't dramatic. It was quiet. It was real. And it felt like coming home to myself. That was the turning point. Not a big fight. Not a screaming match. Just a woman sitting in the dark, deciding she deserved to breathe. And from that night forward, things started to change. Slowly, gently, but permanently. The family dinners stopped for a while. We texted less. We saw each other less, but the love didn't disappear. It just reshaped itself. And in the space I created, I found room for healing. My own healing. If you're still with me, thank you. This part is hard to tell, because it's the moment I stopped trying to fix everything and started trying to fix me. The story isn't finished yet. There's still the aftermath, the slow rebuilding, the small moments of hope, and the lesson I carry now. Stay listening. We're almost there. The slow return of soft things. Months passed after that Wednesday night message. Not quickly, not easily, but they passed. The first few weeks were the hardest. The silence in the group chat felt loud. The empty Sundays felt even louder. I caught myself reaching for my phone out of habit, then stopping, reminding myself that space was not punishment. It was breathing room. David became my anchor. He never asked me to hurry up and forgive. He just stayed, made coffee in the mornings, listened when I needed to talk, held me when I didn't. The kids, they asked questions at first. Why isn't Aunt Lisa coming over? Why don't we go to Grandma Claire's for dinner anymore? I answered simply, grown-ups sometimes need a little time, but we still love each other. They accepted it the way children do, with trust and without too many details, and slowly they stopped asking. Claire was the first to reach out in a real way, not with pressure, not with guilt, just a small text on a Thursday afternoon. Hey, thinking of you. No need to reply. Just wanted you to know I'm here, whenever. I stared at those words for a long time. Then I typed back, thank you. That means more than you know. We started small, a walk in the park, just the two of us. No family, no expectations. We talked about everything except the fight at first. Then slowly, about Mom, about how much we missed her, about how hard it was to keep being the strong ones. She cried a little, I cried a little, and when we hugged goodbye, it felt real again, not forced, not pretend. Mark came next. He showed up one Saturday with coffee and donuts, sat on my porch steps, didn't say much at first. Then he looked at me and said, I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. I should have known something was off. I shook my head. You couldn't have. He nodded, then said the thing that surprised me most. I talked to Lisa. She's working on herself. Therapy. The whole thing. I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded. We sat in silence for a while, watching leaves fall. It was enough. Lisa and Sarah, they didn't rush, and I was grateful for that. There were small gestures, a birthday card for Mia from Lisa, handwritten, no long letter inside, just, thinking of you, sweet girl. Love, Aunt Lisa. Sarah sent Ben a package of glow-in-the-dark stars for his ceiling. A note attached. So are the nights when you need a little light. Love you, kiddo. They weren't apologies wrapped in ribbons, but they were steps, careful ones, respectful ones. I didn't respond right away. I let them sit, let them mean something without demanding more. One evening in early spring, almost 6 months later, I sat on the couch with David. The kids were asleep. The house was quiet in the best way. I looked at him. I think I'm ready to try again. Slowly. He smiled softly. Whatever pace feels right. We started with a small gathering, not a full Sunday dinner. Just Claire, Mark, the kids, David and me. No Lisa, no Sarah. Not yet. We ate spaghetti, laughed at Ben's terrible jokes. Mia showed everyone her new drawings. It wasn't perfect. There were still careful moments, still glances that lingered a second too long. But it was warm. It was real. A few weeks later, I invited Lisa for coffee. Just her. Same kitchen table. Same mugs. She looked different. Tired, but softer somehow. We sat. I poured the coffee. My hands didn't shake this time. "I've missed you," she said quietly. "I've missed you too," I answered, and I meant it. We talked. Not about blame. Not about the past. About now. About how hard it is to be human sometimes. She cried. I handed her a tissue. And when she left, we hugged. A real one. Not tight. Not desperate. Just honest. Sarah came a month after that. We walked in the park. Sat on a bench. Watched ducks on the pond. She said, "I'm learning how to be a better friend, even if it takes time." I nodded. "I'm learning how to be a better me." We didn't promise perfection. We didn't promise it would all go back. But we promised to try. Gently, honestly, and that was enough. Today, things look different. We have family dinners again. Not every Sunday. Sometimes just once a month. Sometimes just the grown-ups. Sometimes everyone. There are still moments when old hurts flicker. A look, a pause, a memory. But we notice them now. We breathe through them. We keep going. I don't pretend to be perfect anymore. I don't try to carry everyone. I just try to show up as I am. Flawed, healing, still loving. And somehow, that feels like the biggest change of all. If you've stayed with me this far, thank you. From the bottom of my heart. This was my true story. Not dramatic, not full of big explosions. Just quiet truths, quiet choices, quiet healing. The lesson I carry now is simple. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop trying to hold everything together and let the pieces fall where they may. Because the ones that are meant to stay will find their way back in their own time, in their own gentle way. And the ones that don't were never yours to carry alone. Thank you for listening. If this story touched you, if it reminded you of your own quiet battles, please like, share, and subscribe for more real stories like this. Grandma stories, heart stories. Stories about the messy, beautiful thing we call family. Until next time, take care of your heart. It's the only one you've got. This was Elena. And this was my truth. Letters we never sent. Years have passed since that Wednesday night when I sent the message that changed everything. The calendar says it's January now, a cold one, the kind where the windows frost over in the early mornings and the kids still beg for hot chocolate, even though they're not so little anymore. Mia is almost 20. She's in her second year of college, studying art like she always dreamed. Ben is 16, tall, quiet, still loves his glow-in-the-dark stars from Sarah. David and I, we're still here. Still holding hands when we walk the dog. Still arguing over who makes better pancakes. Still choosing each other every day. The family didn't disappear. It just reshaped. Like a river finding new paths after a storm. We have gatherings now. Not every week. Not forced, but real. Thanksgiving at Claire's house last year. Lisa brought the green bean casserole she knows I love. Sarah sat next to me, and we talked about books we'd read. Nothing heavy, just normal. The kind of normal that feels earned. But there are things I never said out loud. Things I wrote in notebooks late at night. Letters I never sent. Letters I probably never will. I keep them in a small wooden box under the bed. The same box that used to hold Mom's old recipes. Sometimes I take them out, read them quietly, then put them back. I want to share them with you now, not because they change anything, but because they're part of the truth. The first one was for Lisa. Dear Lisa, I wrote this the night after our coffee. I was still shaking inside. I wanted to tell you that I understood the jealousy. I felt it too, looking at other women and thinking they had it all figured out. I just never thought I was the one being looked at that way. I forgive you. Not because it didn't hurt, but because holding on to the hurt was hurting me more. You're still my sister-in-law. You're still the mother of beautiful children. You're still someone I wish well. I hope you find peace with yourself. The same peace I'm trying to find with me. Love always, Elena. The second was for Sarah. Sarah, we used to stay up until 3 a.m, talking about boys and dreams. Remember that summer we painted each other's nails in glow-in-the-dark polish and swore we'd be best friends forever? I still have the photo somewhere. We were laughing so hard we couldn't breathe. I miss that version of us. But I also know we're not 16 anymore. I don't hate you. I never did. I just needed room to like myself again. Maybe one day we'll sit on a porch again, drink tea, talk about nothing important, and it will feel easy. Until then, I wish you light. With love, Elena. And the last one I wrote to myself. Elena, you did the hardest thing. You stopped pretending. You stopped carrying what wasn't yours to carry. You cried in the dark. You sat on cold porch steps. You let the silence teach you. And look at you now. Still standing. Still soft. Still capable of love. Even after it bruised you. Be proud. Not of being perfect, but of being brave enough to choose peace over performance. You are enough, just as you are. Keep breathing. Keep choosing yourself. You deserve every gentle thing coming your way. Love, you, the one who finally listened. I close the box, smite it back under the bed. Outside. Snow is starting to fall. Soft flakes, the kind that make everything quieter. We watch the snow together. No words needed. After a while, he whispers, "You okay?" I smile. Small. Real. Yeah, I tell him. I really am. And in that moment, I know the story isn't about the betrayal anymore, or the confrontations, or even the forgiveness. It's about the woman who learned, slowly, painfully, that her heart was worth protecting. And that protecting it, at the end of this telling, if you've stayed through every quiet moment, every tear, every small step forward, thank you. Truly. This was never just my story. It's the story of anyone who has ever had to choose between keeping the peace and finding their own. The lesson stays the same. Sometimes love asks you to step back, to give space, to let things breathe. It will find its way back. Not the same, but wiser. gentler. True. Until the next story, take care of the quiet parts of your heart. They're the ones that carry you through. 10 years later, the view from the other side. It's January 11th, 2026 today. 10 years, almost to the day, since that Tuesday evening when the kitchen whispers changed everything. I'm sitting in the same living room. The couch is new now, softer, bigger, because the kids come home more often and bring friends. The street lamp outside still casts the same long shadows. But everything else, everything feels different, in the best, quietest way. Mia is 22 now. She graduated college last spring. She's teaching art to little kids in the city. Every time she visits, she brings new sketches, bright, messy, full of life. She still calls me Mommy when she thinks no one else is listening. Ben is 18. Tall as his dad, quiet like him too. He's finishing high school this year, wants to study environmental science. He's the one who reminds me to water the plants I always forget about. David and I, we're still us. Gray in the hair, more laugh lines around the eyes. We still sit on the porch steps sometimes, still hold hands, still choose each other. And the family? We found our way back. Not the same path, a new one. One we had to walk slowly, carefully, with open hands instead of clenched fists. We have Sunday dinners again. Not every week, not at the same house. Sometimes at Claire's, sometimes here. Sometimes just a potluck in someone's backyard when the weather's nice. Lisa and Mark, they're still together. Stronger, I think. She went to therapy for a long time. She talks about it openly now. How hard it was. How worth it. We don't talk about the old kitchen conversation anymore. We don't need to. It's become one of those things that happened, and then we grew around it. Sarah got remarried 3 years ago. A kind man named Tom. Quiet, patient, he fits with her. She still sends Ben little gifts, science kits, books about stars. She still calls me cousin, like we're kids again. Claire, she's the one who never let go. She was the bridge when everything felt broken. She still is. We talk every week. Not long calls, just enough to say, I'm here. And me? I'm different. I don't try to be the perfect one anymore. I let people see the cracks. I say no when I need to. I say I'm tired without apologizing. I laugh louder. I cry when I need to. I'm not afraid of being seen, messy and all. Last summer, we had a big family reunion. Not forced, not dramatic, just everyone together. Kids running around the backyard. Adults sitting in lawn chairs. Someone brought a guitar. Someone else brought too much potato salad. At one point, Lisa came over to me. She handed me a small envelope. Inside was a handwritten note. No long apology, just 4 words. Thank you for staying. I looked at her. She had tears in her eyes. I had tears in mine. I hugged her, long, tight. The kind of hug that says everything words can't. That was the moment I knew. We had made it through. Not back to who we were, but to who we could become. Because of the hurt. Because of the space. Because of the quiet choices. Later that night, after everyone left, I sat on the porch alone. The stars were out, bright, clear. I thought about the woman I was 10 years ago, the one who stood frozen in the doorway, the one who cried in the dark, the one who sent that one simple message asking for space. I whispered into the night, "Thank you for not giving up on me." And somewhere, I think the universe whispered back, "This story isn't about betrayal. It isn't about confrontation. It isn't even about forgiveness. It's about what happens when a heart decides, quietly, bravely, that it is worth protecting, worth healing, worth loving, even when it's hard." And if you're carrying something heavy right now, if someone's words still echo in your head, if you're wondering whether you have the strength to choose yourself, listen to me. From 10 years down the road, you do. You always did. Take the space, take the time, take the tears. And one day, when the quiet has done its work, you'll look around and realize you're still surrounded by love. Maybe not the same love, maybe not in the same shape, but love that's deeper, because it survived. That's the real miracle. So thank you again for listening, for staying, for letting this story sit with you. If it touched something inside you, if it reminded you of your own quiet battles, please like, share, and subscribe. There are more stories waiting, more hearts, more lessons wrapped in everyday lives. This channel is for the real ones, the long, slow, beautiful ones. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. You're doing better than you think. This was Elena, 10 years wiser, still here, still soft, and still grateful.